Ladies and gentlemen, this is the 12th and final round.
Right hand, Golovkin steps in and down he goes again. Unbelievable. Mayweather makes him pay. What a rookie mistake. A sensational left hook by De La Hoya.
It's facts. I'm the best. You know what I mean? Sometimes I don't want to believe it myself, but it's the truth. I'm the best.
I'm going to show you how great I am.
From Southern California, this is the Last Round Podcast.
And we're back, episode 28 of TLR, the last round. And we just got shirts in. They just came in, right?
Whoop, whoop.
We just got a shipment, the first shipment of our shirts, the merchandise for the last round, which I think are already on social media, right? You put them out there for people to see.
Put them out.
So if you want to check out the designs, you can follow us at the last round 12 on social media and check them out. We'll be sporting them and we'll be promoting them a little bit more. And you guys let us know what you think out there. But once again, I'm Danny Z, Michael Shepard across from me. Last week we didn't have a busy week of fights. But
Rested.
It was a
rested.
It was a rested week. But this week, it's like double or nothing. We're packed this week, at least in the next week or so, week and a half maybe. But before we jump into the upcoming fights, the previews, reviews, and all that stuff, we have another guest this week. Who do we got, Mike? Who's on the line right now?
This week we have the current NABF junior super lightweight holder, Arnold Barboza, who's currently 20-0. He's fighting on the Lomachenko, Anthony Crolla undercard against Mile High Mike Alvarado.
How's it going, Arnold? Thank you very much. We appreciate you calling in ahead of your fight against Arnold. Actually, I was going to say Arnold, but he's on the line.
Fighting himself?
He fight himself. But against a rugged Mike Alvarado, a veteran. But, just starting off, Arnold, how's training going? How's camp been going? How's the weight cut? Tell us what's going on.
You know what? Camp has really been really, really good. We actually just got back down from Big Bear. We were up there for training camp for a few weeks, and it really helped me a lot. The weight is actually really good. Really got about 3 pounds to go, if that. So I really try to take care of my body in the off season. That way, when it comes time to fight, I'm not really struggling too much on the weight. But camp's been great, man. Camp's been great, and we're really ready to go.
Do you always train in Big Bear, usually?
No, this is actually my first time going up there.
Oh, wow.
I really wanted to do something different. The camp was the same, but just the altitude and the running and the conditioning was just, I feel like for this fight had to be way more up there, So we went up there. I want to thank, Abel Sanchez and his team for greeting us with open arms. And it was a great experience. I learned a lot up there.
Is it very, because like you mentioned, the high altitude, which is why obviously a lot of boxers over the last several years have went up there to train. Being that was your first time up there, experiencing that altitude, doing your training methods or everything, was it surprising? Did your body take a little bit longer to adapt? Did you have any problems that you had to overcome? Anything like that?
Well, down here, I run a lot of hills and a lot of stuff like that. So when we got up there, of course it was, a little different. The air was a little harder to breathe up there, because of, the altitude and all of that. But we adjusted quick. We adjusted in a matter of a week, if that, a few days, and we really, really got some great work in, some great sparring up there. We got some great conditioning for this fight.
For people who don't know, Arnold, you're actually trained by your father, Arnold Sr. How is that? Do you butt heads at times? And
you know what? No, we never bump heads. It's crazy. Me and my father. He's been training me since I was 5.5 years old. So he, in the gym, it's all strictly business. It's strictly boxing, strictly trainer, and me and outside the gym, it's father. He's my father. But in the gym, we joke a lot. That's really the only time you really see my dad smile. Sometimes is in the gym. It's a great atmosphere. The great fighters that we train with. We've never really bumped heads at all. And I'm glad he's my trainer, and I wouldn't trade my team for anything.
He used to be a professional kickboxer. Is that right?
Yeah. He was actually he was a professional kickboxer. He was 13-0. He was actually pretty good. We actually used to fight on the same cards. I used to fight on these smoker fights because I was too young to fight USA boxing. So I used to fight on the same cards as him. Sometimes he'd be the main event, and I'd be the opening. To get the show started. So, but yeah, he quit his career to train me and to focus on me. I guess he's seen something, and just went from there.
How many fights did he have before he decided to essentially retire and focus on you?
He actually had 13. He had 13 wins. He was actually undefeated. He was 13-0. He had 13, and I had about 25 smoker fights before I went to USA. So I mean, my father, every time he came, he was really just boxing. I mean, he used his legs, of course, because he's a soccer player his whole life. But
Makes sense.
he's a diehard. He's all around boxing.
I was looking up, obviously, when you agreed to do the interview, and I saw that you actually gave up a union job to take on boxing full time.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I was actually working. It was probably my first seven professional fights. I was working a night shift job for the union, for the Teamsters, and I was working from 7 at night. Was supposed to get off at 5:30 in the morning, but a lot of times you couldn't leave till your work was done, so I had to get out around 8, sometimes 8:30. The latest I've gotten out a few times was like 11:30 the next day.
Damn.
And I was still getting out. I mean, I felt like a zombie. Like no sleep. I still go run, get my run in, go home, eat some breakfast, shower, sleep, wake up and train, and then right after training, go straight home, shower again, and go straight to work. So it was a rough. I did that for about 5 years for my first 7 fights, and it was a rough time for me. A lot of questions, a lot of if I didn't know if I was still gonna box at the time. I didn't want to because I felt like a lot of fighters and are not they're just focusing on training. In my eyes, they're like, okay, a boxer's supposed to focus on boxing. That's a job. I had 2 jobs, and it was real hard, and I'm glad that once Top Rank came around, everything changed. So we decided, once Top Rank came around, they signed me, they signed me, and we just decided to go all in. My father told me, you pick, it's either work or boxing, and I just picked boxing. I've been doing this for too long not to take a chance.
Were you approached by before you decided on Top Rank? Were you approached by any other promoters in terms of trying to recruit you, or were you soliciting any other offers?
Well, originally, my first 3 professional fights came under the promoter of Gary Shaw.
Mm-hmm.
So they initially wanted to sign me, but we decided to hold off a little bit to see what else we can get. And for a whole year and a half, I had no offers. I had no one looking at me, no one even giving me a chance. And it was real fun. It was frustrating. It was frustrating at the time. I was like, man, like, what am I really doing here? And actually. It's a funny story because when that whole time we were off, I had 3 fights. Mike Alvarado was fighting Marquez at the time at the Forum, and I actually helped Alvarado to fight Marquez. Not a lot of people. You
were a sparring partner, right?
Yeah, I was a sparring partner, and helped him for a few sparring sessions. And I feel because of that is kind of the reason I got into Top Rank, because I went to the fights at the Forum against Marquez, and that's when I met matchmaker Brad Goodman, and we talked, and it was all up from there.
Are you going to use anything from those sparring? Because that must have been 4 or 5 years ago you sparred Alvarado.
Yeah, you know what? It was a while back, a few years ago. I'm not really dependent on anything on those sports. There's the sparring sessions. It's sparring. Sometimes you have good days, sometimes you have bad days. We're not even looking at that. We're looking at for the best Mike Alvarado. So those sparring sessions are long gone. To tell you the truth, I really don't even remember them. So we're just focusing on the game plan that my father has put, and now we're ready to go.
So is there any fight in particular throughout his career? Because obviously he's been in some pretty big wars. Brandon Rios, Marquez, and stuff like that. Is there any one of them that like sticks out in your mind? Because obviously like as I mentioned at the beginning, he's a veteran. He's been around the game for quite a while. And obviously there's everybody always has something left in the tank. Is there one fight that kind of sticks out in your mind that you really impressed you about him, or whether it was like the Rios fight or anything like that?
Well, it was actually to be honest, I became and Mike Alvarado, I was kind of sort of a fan of his when he fought. My father took me to the StubHub to see him when he fought Rios the first time. And I didn't even know who Mike was. My dad goes, "Oh, watch, this is gonna be a good fight," And I'll keep in mind I'm only 3-0. I was like, or maybe I don't even know if I was actually debuted yet. I'm not sure.
Right.
But I seen that fight and I was like, man, I thought it would stop prematurely, but I was like, man, that fight stood out to me. And then also when he fought Marquez, keep in mind that Mike wasn't even 100% on a lot of these fights, and look what he accomplished. So. Now, I heard his head's on straight and he's been training really hard, and I'm happy for him and his family, and I'm happy because I'm getting the best Mike Alvarado. I feel like that's probably stepped into the ring in a while, so I'm excited. My team's excited, and we're ready. Was
there any other potential opponents out there that were offered to you, or were any fights that you guys were trying to make before the Alvarado fight was made for this weekend?
No, not really. They, after my last fight, we talked to Top Rank, and they asked us, what would we think about fighting Mike? And we said, yeah. We don't turn down no opponent. It's a dangerous fight, for especially someone like me coming up, 20-0, and against a guy like Mike Alvarado, who, he has power, man. He has power in both hands, and it's a dangerous fight for anybody to take, but we're willing to take it. We're willing to step up, and we're looking for a title shot soon.
After your last fight, you called out Jose Ramirez. That wasn't a fight that they would offer you?
Yeah, we called him out. It's a fight, that we don't know if they were thinking about it or if they weren't. We just know that right now at this time, Top Rank wanted to do the Mike fight. I guess they want to, see some more out of me, So we're patient. The thing is, I'm a very patient person. I feel like, I have to earn, I have to earn things in this game. So we're ready to go. And whenever Top Rank decides to give us an opportunity at Ramirez, we'll jump on it.
What did you think of Ramirez and Zepeda? Who do you think won that?
Honestly, Cepeda, he's a real good friend of mine. He's a really good friend of mine. I've known him for a long, long time. I've actually sparred him a lot of times over here. And honestly, I think Cepeda pulled it out by a round or two. I just think that he faded a little bit toward the end. That's what kind of, messed him up. And then in Fresno also, but I think Cepeda pulled it out, and I was real impressed with Cepeda. I kind of knew that was going to happen because I sparred him a lot of times, and I know how hard he is to hit and how tricky he is. So it was a good fight, and like I said, I always say it. Ramirez has trouble with boxers, and I think me and him would be a great fight. I think we'll be an excellent fight, but we're not looking past Mike Alvarado, so we got to get through this first before we start talking about that.
No, absolutely, and
we got it the same.
Yeah, we did. We
both said Zepeda.
We both had Zepeda winning, so we're on a agreement right there. But in terms of Ramirez, didn't he mention last fight that he was thinking about moving up to 147? So hopefully he doesn't, because then Arnold can get a shot and they can go at it. So hopefully he doesn't. But in terms of that, Mike actually trains in he lives in Colorado, doesn't he? Doesn't he train over there too?
Yes. Mile High.
So did that come into your decision making as well, Arnold, in terms of why you decided to go to Big Bear? Because obviously Mike is probably essentially the biggest name that you fought in so far, and he's tested, he's a rugged veteran. Did that come into play because he trains in kind of high altitude as well?
To be honest, not really. We've been wanting to go to Big Bear for about 2 camps now, but we just haven't really had the chance, or we haven't really we just hadn't happened. But no, I'm not worried about what he's doing in training, and I'm the type of fighter that don't worry about that stuff. The only thing I'm worried about is his tape and what he does and what I got to watch out for and our game plan. But what Big Bear was kind of like, it was gonna happen either way with anybody that I fought. It was we were talking about that for a while, so it was a great experience. It was crazy, running alongside Gennady. He was up there and started camp and learning a few things from everybody up there. It was a really good experience.
Did you get any tips from Triple G? Did he talk to you about anything? Like any advice?
We up there. It's it's crazy because up there is just work. Everyone's just working. Everyone's just grinding, training hard. Down here, I'm the hardest trainer in my gym. I'm the hardest worker in my gym. But up there, man, everyone's the same. So we talked here and there, and he's seen me spar. He told me, "Oh, good job," and that I look strong, I look good, and I should do this a little bit, but not really. It's kind of everyone does their own training and get in and out.
Arnold, you fought at the StubHub Center, the Staples Center, the Microsoft Theater, so you've pretty much done them all in the local area. You just need the Forum, is that right?
The Exchange LA too. Yeah.
Yeah. When I went pro, I had a few spots that I dreamed of fighting. One of them was StubHub. The other one was Staples Center. The Staples Center, the StubHub, and the Forum. But the Forum hasn't happened. I hope to one day fight there. I would love to fight the Forum. That's the only one that I'm missing on my to-do list.
Now that you mentioned StubHub, I wanted to ask your opinion. What do you think about the name change going from StubHub to the Dignity Sports
Park, I think.
Sports Park or something? I don't know. What do you think about that? Like as a professional fighter, because fans don't like it. They are used to the StubHub or even the Home Depot Center. If you go further back, what do you think about it?
To be honest, this is the first time I'm hearing about that. To be honest, I didn't even know that they're changing the name. To be honest,
Breaking
news. You know what? What is the Dignity Center? You said
Dignity Sports Park, but everyone still calls it the StubHub.
Yeah, everybody still calls it the StubHub, but like it was just recently changed, and obviously to boxing fans, like we just call it the StubHub. You call it the StubHub. So just hearing that news right now, what's your reaction?
You know what? To be honest, it doesn't matter what the name's gonna be. Everyone's probably still gonna call it StubHub, and to be honest, the fight, this is something about that atmosphere where it's like every fight's a war there. It's something that you can walk in there, you feel like like you're in a war zone. So either way, the fights I think would be the same. It's just a name change. But everyone's still gonna call it StubHub. But I don't know why they've changed it. It was fine with the StubHub, but it is what it is.
You named some places that you wanted to fight in California. Do you have any other dreams of fighting in Vegas, fighting in Madison Square Gardens?
Yeah, actually, Madison Square Garden, I would love to fight there, and also in Vegas, the MGM. I would love to fight there also. Those are two of the places that I would like to fight.
If you're able to get through Michael Alvarado, do you think? Because obviously you said you'd like a shot at Ramirez. Especially both being under the top ranked banner, which obviously should be a little bit easier to make. Do you think beating Mike Alvarado will maybe open the door? Obviously, it's going to open the door to bigger names, bigger fights. But do you think the possibility of a Ramirez fight expands a little bit more with the win?
I hope so. That's the plan. I hope that. If not, we would love to fight Maurice Hooker also. We are ranked number 3 in the WBO. So we would also like that fight. Either one. I don't care what champion I fight. I don't care if it's Ramirez, Hooker, or IBF or whoever it is. I don't really care. I just want if everything comes out good and I look great and I want a shot. I want a shot hopefully soon and I know Top Rank's gonna take care of that.
That Maurice Hooker fight would be a good fight. He draws a good crowd down in Dallas. Then also, if you fight Ramirez, you probably have to fight in Fresno, but. So it looks like you probably have to travel to someone's backyard. Would that phase you?
Yeah, that's fine. It's gonna have to be like that. They're the champion. They're the champion. They decide where they fight. Backyard is where we're gonna have to go, and that's where we're gonna have to go. I don't care. At the end of the day, you're in the ring. At the end of the day, you're in the ring. It's a crowd. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, it don't matter where we fight, who we fight, as long as we get that shot.
Arnold Barboza Jr. joins us here on the last round. He fights Mike Alvarado this Friday, April 12th at the Staples Center on ESPN on the undercard of Vasiliy Lomachenko and Anthony Crolla for the WBA and WBO lightweight titles. Arnold, so you train at La Puente Gym, right? How long have you trained there your whole entire career, essentially?
No, actually, we started off in South Almani Boxing Gym. That's where we're from. We're from South Almani. You know, we trained in South Almani for about 18 years. We recently just moved to La Puente and been training in La Puente for about 5 years, I believe so now.
Is it
So you know, we're happy. You know, it's a great gym. You know, it's a nice, small, great gym. A bunch of tough, rugged kids. You know, and it's a great atmosphere.
the South Almani gym? Is that where Jojo Diaz trains at too?
Yeah, we all actually came up together. You know, there's actually, you know, we all grew up together. I mean, I've known Jojo since we're 8 years old. You know, we went to school, we went to the same high school, and we played Jets football. There's a lot of us that actually came out, you know, pro and out of that gym. You know, it was me, Alex Luna, it was Jojo Diaz, Saul Bustos, Victor Pasillas. There's a bunch of guys, a bunch of us that came out, you know, out of that gym. And you know, it's a great gym. You know, we still go there to spar. We sparred Luis Feliciano for a lot of this camp, so he's there, and it's a great gym. You know, we still go back, and it's a great gym.
Looking at the card for Friday, Arnold, I think your fight will probably be the one that steals the show.
Probably.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. That's what I'm thinking, man. I mean, you know, much respect to all the other fighters on the card, you know. I think, you know, I know what Zudo's gonna do, and I know what Loma's gonna do. You know, I think me and Mike is gonna be the fireworks of the night. You know, I think we're gonna steal the show. We train for that. We train for whatever he brings, and we're ready to go.
How's sparring been, Arnold, in preparation for this fight?
Oh man, sparring was good. You know, it was good. You know, in Big Bear we had we moved around with Pedro Angulo, and we moved around with some other pressure fighters. Man, these guys nonstop resilient pressure. You know, which is what I needed. You know, so we this whole camp we sparred. You know, guys a little heavier than us and pressure fighters. You know, we sparred a bunch of pressure fighters, a bunch. You know, so we're, like I said, we're ready to go. We're ready to go for anything he brings.
How was sparring El Perro Angulo? How was that?
No, it was good. It was good. You know, hey man, that guy. I'm telling you, man, he doesn't stop. You know, he comes forward. You know, it was great sparring him. Like we said, we sparred Feliciano. We sparred some other up and coming fighters that they just don't stop throwing. You know, nonstop. And you know, and the sparring helped. You know, the sparring helped. You know, especially with the conditioning. So we're ready to go.
You know, without giving away too much, are you going to try to, you know, drag someone like Alvarado, who's 38 years old, a pressure fight? You're going to try and drag him into the late rounds?
Yeah, you know, I mean, you know whatever happens. You know, if I catch him with a punch and if I feel like he's hurt, then I'm gonna try to finish him. You know, but Mike Alvarado, you already know what he's been through. You already know what he can do and the punches he can take. You know, he's fought a bunch of strong fighters. You know, and never went down, never. You know. So we're really looking forward to, you know, to just see, you know, our game plan and where it goes. Sometimes the game plan don't go as you think it's gonna go, so you gotta adjust. So we're ready to go. We have plan A, B, you know, in for whatever. You know, like I said, we're in there for whatever he wants to do. We're gonna be ready.
Seeing that obviously Lomachenko is your stablemate, your promotional stablemate, do you think that he's a top pound for pound fighter in the world?
Honestly, I think to me, if we're being honest, I think it's a real tough call between him and Crawford. You know, I really love Crawford's style. You know, Crawford to me, man, he amazed me every fight. But so does Lomachenko, man. His style of fighting just doesn't come around often. You know, it's like they're both really good. To me, they're both up there at the tie for the #1 spot, and I'm really glad they're the same promotion.
Do you see yourself ever you know, moving up to 147, 154? Like, can you tell just by your body where you think you'll end up?
To be honest, I started I believe it was like my first 5 fights at 147. When I first started, I was at 147. I actually came down to 140. My last fight, the day before the weigh-ins, I ran on the treadmill a little bit, and I got off the treadmill, and I was about 137, so I had to eat, you know, a little bit. And So I don't know. Who knows? I mean, I could go down maybe, or I can go up to 147. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. I fought that before. So I don't know. I mean, who knows? But right now we're comfortable at 140.
So, assuming you get the W on Friday, since you mentioned food, what's your go-to meal following the win?
Usually, you know what? Whatever's open, because I like to stay for the fights. A lot of the times, me and my father, he loves Buffalo Wild Wings. I'm a big Buffalo Wild Wings fan. So we usually go there. But the next morning, I go to my buddy's restaurant over here in Almani. It's called Taqueria Perivan, and I'm there, man, eating. That's the best carnitas, and the best food in Almani. So I'm there every morning after my fight.
Dang, now you're making me hungry, man.
You know where to go. He just told you where to go.
I know, yeah. He's definitely making me hungry. Where's it at exactly? And this is, because we have Arnold, we have a lot of international listeners, a lot in the UK and stuff. So this is in Southern California. It's called Almani, California. Do you know the exact streets where it's at?
Yeah, it's down Rush and Chico. So it's in South Almani. It's down Rush and Chico. It's called Taqueria Perivan. It's a little small spot. It's a little it's my buddy's restaurant. His father opened it. And it's just it's a great atmosphere, great food, and for everyone out there that's in Almani area, LA area, South Almani, check it out.
Are you looking to be active then this year, Arnold? Looking at your fights, you normally fight 3, 4, 5 times a year.
Yeah, the fights now, I believe it's 3. I'm scheduled 3 times a year. So we're looking forward for 3 times a year. I mean, if we can do more, if Top Rank's willing to put us more, then we'll fight more. Whenever they say to fight, we fight. We just give them a call and ask them. We talk to them, ask them what's going on, and they give us the date, and that's the day we fight. We never turn down a fight. We've never turned down a date. We're always ready.
That's awesome, man. That's what everybody wants to hear. The fans, the media, just fighters with attitudes like that, man, because that's how the best fighters come about. That's how the best careers come about. But Arnold Barboza Jr., we appreciate it. Thank you for calling in preparation in advance of your fight this Friday, April 12th, from the Staples Center on ESPN. On Arnold fights Mike Alvarado on the undercard of Vasiliy Lomachenko against Anthony Crolla, which is again, the whole card is pretty solid. There's some pretty big names on there. Gilberto Ramirez is on there, Lomachenko obviously, and Crolla. So there might be a big UK representation there.
I'll be there.
He'll be there. He'll be there representing the last round. Mike will be there. But Arnold, go ahead and plug whatever you got coming. We know you got your fight coming, but plug your social media, anything you got coming up, any companies, business. Go ahead, man. The floor is yours.
Okay, I just want to tell everybody to come out, on Friday, April 12th, at the Staples Center. If you can't make it, get the ESPN Plus app. It's going to be a great fight. I promise you guys, it's going to be a lot of fireworks. Follow me on my Instagram at Arnold _Barboza Jr. On my Twitter at Junior Barboza Arnold. And I'll see you guys April 12th. Appreciate you guys having me, and I hope you guys have a good one.
Thanks, Arnold. We appreciate it. Thanks for calling in. ESPN. It was on the ESPN app. I kept saying ESPN.
I've got it.
I forgot. I'm still trying to get used to these apps. DAZN, ESPN Plus. I mean, I get it. I'm not complaining. I'm in favor. But in the show notes here, we had ESPN, but I was like, I think it's on the app. But I'm glad he mentioned it was on the app. So for the listeners out there who are, on Friday, if they would have tuned into ESPN, like, oh, where the hell's the fight at? It's going to be on the app, ESPN app, which is, isn't it free for the first week if you're a new subscriber, or it's $5?
It's $5 a month.
So for $5,
it's probably free. You probably get a week or so for free. I can't remember. I've had it since it came out.
Right. So
that should be a good fight. I think it's going to be the fight of the night.
Yeah. In terms of the names and stuff because obviously Arnold's a up and coming fighter. Now this is like he mentioned, Top Rank. He feels like Top Rank wanted to give him somebody like a veteran, like a Mike Alvarado, to kind of push him up to that next level. So especially if he can stop the guy. I mean, there's always going to be people if he stops the guy in ridiculous fashion. There's always going to be fans, critics out there. Oh, Mike Alvarado's old. He faced him when he was old. I mean, it doesn't matter. Alvarado's been in some wars, and I'm hoping it's a barn burner.
I think it's going to be the fight of the night. I think if anything, he'll drag Alvarado into the late rounds. Being the younger, fresher fighter. Barboza's not known to finish people. 20 wins, only 7 by KO. So
he's more of a boxer, isn't he?
Yeah, he's definitely more of a boxer, very slick, more of an amateur style. So if anything, it may be a TKO if he's getting off a lot, and the referee just jumps in and stops him. Or Barboza, I think, by points. But I think he'll definitely go a few rounds.
I think if Arnold stops him, that's going to be a big statement.
I mean, obviously being a local fighter, I'd love for it, to go in there, to stop him, get that, be such a good stoppage. It's on TV for the rest of the week on ESPN. That'll jump him up. He'll get some new social media fans and stuff like that. And then, that's the sort of thing he needs to try and get, the Jose Ramirez fight, the Maurice Hooker fight, because it looks like Maurice Hooker's kind of been, put towards Virgil Ortiz, both being from Texas.
That'd be a good fight too, though.
But I'd like to see him to get one of those first fights in the future. Definitely, Ramirez both been top ranked, like you touched on earlier, would be easier to make.
I mean, that 140 has some solid names right now. I mean, I know people say ever since Crawford moved up, every unified, there's nobody there. No, in terms of competition, Ramirez is there, Mo Hooker's there, Barboza's there, Zepeda's there. There's some good potential matchups out there that haven't happened that would be good fights. Yeah,
and then like he said, he can move up or down in weight. So, he's got the option of picking the best fights in those two weight categories that he thinks, would be in his favor to win. So
he's like Mikey Garcia.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I could go wherever I want.
So, he can chase those big fights, those big names, the big money, which is sure, whilst he's still young and can make those two weights.
Take advantage of it. Yeah, absolutely. But, previewing on that same card, we'll just start with the main event. Vasiliy Lomachenko, arguably people's top pound-for-pound fighter in the world. Not Arnold's, though. He said he picked Crawford, but he did have a tough time, deciding. But he did lean towards Crawford a little bit. Lomachenko 12-1, goes up against Anthony Crolla from the UK. The WBA and WBO lightweight titles are on the line. Obviously, people have been talking about this fight as it's leading up, as it was announced, saying, Lomachenko's obviously the big favorite. It's not that Crolla can't bring a fight. I like Crolla. His fights with Linares, even though he lost both, were exciting. So I hope that, in terms of paper and on paper and then, skill set, obviously Lomachenko is the favorite. But, who knows? Can Crolla pull it off? I'm asking you, the UK. No. You're speaking for the UK right now. Don't let them down, Mike.
Bob Arum kind of said the other day that the only reason the fight in Crolla is because Crolla was the mandatory and the WBA pushed them towards that. Everybody's looking for the bigger fights for Lomachenko. They wanted to fight Comey. He had the injury from his last fight. The fans wanted him to fight Mikey Garcia. That fight couldn't be made because of obviously Mikey fighting Errol Spence. So the only one who was kind of left at the moment was Anthony Crolla. Get the mandatory out the way. Hopefully fight Richard Comey later in the year. But going back to the fight, I think it's going to be an easy fight for Loma. On paper, Crolla's very one-dimensional, a Joe Gallagher fighter. He's going to come in. He's going to have his hands up, covering his face. He's going to try and work the body to Lomachenko. I think Loma's just going to come out and, just pretty much just pepper him around his body because he has the high stance, keeps his arms up, which is going to leave, his midsection open. And I think they'll probably stop him around 6, 7, or 8 rounds. I think he'll either get...
So you're going against the UK?
Yeah, unless Crolla comes out with something, crazy punch out of nowhere where she manages to connect and knock Lomachenko out. There's levels to this game, as they always say. I think Lomachenko is levels above Crolla. Crolla struggled with Linares. Linares beat him twice. Lomachenko beat Linares.
That's true. That's true.
Crolla got it because Eddie Hearn is best friends with Gilberto Mendoza,
WBA.
From the WBA, posting pictures on Instagram with him. So that's how Crolla managed to work himself into this fight. Essentially,
it happens. It's called boxing.
Yep,
it's called boxing. But it's a fight. Hopefully, like we said, hopefully it's a lot more competitive than people think. people's bars are kind of set a little bit low because obviously Lomachenko is so good. But it could come out, and like I'm hoping, like I mentioned, like I hope there's a pretty significant or at least a solid representation of UK fans there because,
for the atmosphere.
The atmosphere is great with UK fans. Like we gotta go. I don't know if when you lived in the motherland, did you go on any fights out there? Because I would
not too many. I went to Carl Froch fights, some local fights.
What?
But here's a question for you. I was listening to obviously a lot of podcasts since we have our own podcast. Obviously, listen to others, and a few people were touched.
Wait. You listen to others? What? You serious?
Yeah, just to see how
far out of here.
How far behind they are. How far behind us they are.
How far behind they are?
Yeah, see, we're at the top. That's where everyone's reaching to get.
Yeah, we might have last in our name, but we're not last.
But anyway, some people were kind of touching on that Loma had peaked. And he was. I
do think 135 is his peak. I think he's even said that,
but not as a weight category. He's peaked as in his potential, and now he's kind of slowing down. And he's coming down the other side of the hill. And I was thinking that one performance against Pedraza, like he still won, but he didn't look his dominant self. But don't forget that Gervonta Davis, when he fought Pedraza was at a lower weight category.
That's true.
So Pedraza, the weight cut, those pounds, I'm sure, we don't know how much he had to drain himself. So maybe Pedraza fighting Lomachenko at a higher weight was the reason that Pedraza looked a lot better. Right. He went in there and he kind of like did different game plan to a lot of other people. He tried to Lomachenko, essentially. But I think people are clutching at straws saying that, Loma's peaked and now he's coming back down. He's not the level that he used to be. And they're touching on, he's had 400 amateur fights. He's only had, 12 fights as a pro. 13 fights as a pro. He's getting old. His style, when he reaches his 30s, he's going to lose a step. His reflexes aren't going to be there. I don't know whether it's because he's that high on a pedestal, people have to try and pull him back down.
I think that's probably
it's human nature
that's an explanation.
To build people up. And then once they get to the top and they've reached that pinnacle, everyone's like, that's it. Let's drag them back down. And they're not as good as he used to be.
Like we're at the top, people are dragging us back down right
Exactly.
now.
That's what it is.
So
you agree or no?
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I don't agree that he's reached like his peak in terms of like talent, but in terms of weight, I think he has, because he's even admitted it.
He hasn't got the body to
He doesn't. No,
he's not naturally bulky.
No,
he couldn't
he's
move up. I think 135. I think is definitely. I wouldn't want to see him go any higher.
No. I think like if he cleans out 135, like if he beats like a Mikey and then he unifies Richard Comey and stuff like that. I mean, like then maybe he would consider moving to 140, but it's a risk because he's just like, well, I mean, unless he's just that type of guy like Mikey, like he's like, I'll move up to 147, or like when De La Hoya moved up to middleweight to fight Hopkins, and then he got knocked out with that body shot, so it's like, well, I've done kind of everything at the lower weight classes, there's some money fights up there.
I don't see Loma being a money guy though. I don't see Loma being one of those guys that he's past it and he's makes a lot of media attention to get one big payout, like David Haye did against Tony Bellew. He went to the media and, was talking a lot of shit about Tony Bellew to get the two fights, got them as kind of paydays, just to cash out because he knew that his body was done.
Yeah.
I can't see Loma being like that. I think when Loma reaches the top and, loses a fight and he looks back at it with his dad, I think that he'll be like, you know what, I'm gonna go out. That's it, I'm done. I don't see him being like a 30, 40 fighter type of guy. Like he'll probably get to like around 20 fights, clear out 130, 135, and I think he'll be done. He'll be gone.
Maybe retire.
Yeah.
Maybe. So I know who you're probably going to choose because you've already kind of implied it, but who are you picking?
Lomachenko. Round 6, 7, or 8. TKO. I don't see the Joe Gallagher really throwing the towel in. Maybe if Crolla's taking a lot of punishment, but Loma's not a big fight. Normally he makes the fighters quit because they can't touch him.
Yeah, that's very good explanation. So I'm going against you. I'm going for the motherland. Crolla.
No way.
Decision. Oh yeah, in your face. In your face. Today I'm British. Today I'm from the motherland today.
It's normally me that comes out with these wild guesses.
Somebody has to satisfy the UK listeners.
This is going to cancel out your Cancio one.
No, it's not. No, it's not. I picked Cancio to beat Machado, and look at what happened. And now
it's living off that for the rest of the year.
And now I'm picking Crolla to beat Lomachenko because satisfy the motherland.
You're not supposed to drink before the podcast, right, Danny?
Hey, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I drink water. Nobody knows what I did. Nobody knows nothing. And also on that card, Gilberto Ramirez, 39-0, makes his debut at light heavyweight against Tommy Karpency. Obviously, this seems like a showcase fight to kind of get him used to the weight. He's expected to win. And then if he looks obviously dominant, especially if he can stop the guy, I think he needs a significant name.
Yeah.
After this.
Gilberto Ramirez is 39.
39-0.
He's never fought anybody of note.
He was champion at 168 for like 2-3 years.
He is like Adonis Stevenson. He got the belt and just held it hostage.
Literally, Adonis Stevenson held it for like 5-6 years.
That is what Gilberto Ramirez has been doing. He's just held it hostage. How he's managed to have the title for so long and just fight random names.
It's called politics.
Yeah, that's true.
It's called politics.
But like you touched on, it's a light heavyweight fight. Tommy Karpency is probably most well known for fighting Kovalev. I think
that's true.
He dropped Kovalev.
Oh, he did?
I think he dropped Kovalev in the first or second round, and then Kovalev kind of got up and was like,
forget it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's like, all right.
And just wiped him out.
Yeah, after that, he's like, you pissed me off.
Yeah, it was one of those. So Gilberto Ramirez should win. And then I think, hopefully try and get a big name. They can't keep him wrapped in cotton wool forever. So I think he'll try and get a big name, big payday, probably get his butt spanked, and then we might not see him again.
The butt spanked. So we'll see. Moving on, Saturday, April 13th, from the Minneapolis Armory in Minneapolis, Minnesota on Fox Sports 1. The main event is Peter Quillin and Caleb Truax, right? I think that's the main event. Because that's what they've been promoting a lot.
I think it is the main event, and then the co-main is Sergey Derevchenko, 12-1 against Jack Kulke, 25-3.
So Peter Quillin, who at one time before his significant loss in the first round, I think, to Daniel Jacobs, Peter Quillin was looked at as one of the best middleweights in the world. He was moving up there, but then him and Jacobs went at it, and I think a lot of people picked Peter Quillin to beat Jacobs. I remember that.
At that time, though, he was.
But
a force.
No, he was, and a lot of people were picked Quillin to beat Jacobs, and Jacobs beat him. He stopped him. He stopped him in the first round. Like they just threw fire, and
he's never looked the same though since.
Yeah,
PBC paid him not to fight.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, that's true.
They paid him not to fight, and he was like, "Okay," paid him something like $750,000.
That's insane. Man.
Not to fight.
That's insane.
And
that
then
must be nice.
Ever since then, since he came back, this is a strange fight because you've got Peter Quillin who has the skills, but looks like that. He doesn't really have the heart anymore since that long layoff. And then you've got Caleb Truax, who hasn't got the natural ability of Peter Quinlan, but he's a hard worker. He has heart. He puts a lot in there. He leaves it all in the ring. So it's kind of, you got to look at, to me, if Peter Quinlan turns up on the day and he really wants it, he has the skills to pay the bills, as they say. Whereas Caleb Truax, he could be completely outclassed if Peter Quinlan turns up. It just depends on really which Peter Quinlan enters the ring on the night.
That's true. That's true. But I like this fight. I don't know if you've watched the PBC promotions. They've done it, I think, on Fox Sports 1 or something. It's kind of like a face off and some stuff like that. It's getting a little heated. Heated. So, I think people are going to sleep on this fight, but it's going to be a pretty. I'm hoping it's a good fight. Who do
you think wins it then?
I think Truax is going to take it.
I'm going to go the same. I think Truax is going to get it. I don't think Quinlan has it anymore. I just don't know whether his heart's in it anymore. I just think maybe that he's kind of like, well, what do I do? But all I've known is boxing, so he just comes in. And,
no, you're right. But like if he does, I mean, if Truax gets it, obviously whoever wins is kind of catapulted a little bit higher in the division. But I think for Quillin, especially because he was a big force at one time, especially before the Jacobs fight and going into the Jacobs fight. I think if Quillin wins and he wins in dominant fashion, I think that kind of throws him in there. And you might see him against like Charlo later on or something like that,
You're just going to feed him to Charlo? You'll retire him?
Well, you never know. I mean, PBC's kind of, I mean, in terms of reality, who's the bigger star right now, Charlo or Quillin? So.
But, he'll be paid well, though. Uncle Al.
Yeah,
Uncle Al will look after him.
That's true.
You got $750 to not to fight.
Yeah.
So what's he going to get to fight?
Must be nice, man. Shit. And then also on that card, Sergey Derevchenko, who is coming back after his first loss against Daniel Jacobs.
Yeah.
So Maybe that's what they're setting up right here. The winners fight each other.
Derevchenko PBC?
Yeah.
Is he PBC?
Well, it doesn't matter. He's fighting a PBC card.
Yeah, true.
You know, obviously it's looking that it works for them. So Derevchenko 12-1 is going up against Jack. What is it? How do you pronounce it? Kolke?
Jack Kolke?
25-3. I was impressed by Derevchenko in the Jacobs fight.
He was around that time though. He was an avoided fighter. You know, people were saying that Triple G didn't want to fight him because of the money.
Yeah, because he was for the IBF, and then he, you know, they were saying, "No, fight Derevchenko." Like, you know, he was there after the Canelo tested positive last year. With the initial rematch was supposed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were saying, "Hey, Derevchenko's available," and I think even Derevchenko's team said, "Wait, we're ready." Like,
because it was Lou DiBella.
Yeah,
Lou DiBella was on all social media he could get, talking trash on Triple G, but. You know, risk and reward. Yeah, it just wasn't there.
Yeah. I mean, Triple G didn't want to fight anybody that could potentially be a threat because it might ruin the Canelo rematch.
Exactly,
and lose his negotiation power. So you know, it happens. It happens. But I'm going Derevchenko on that one.
Yeah, this is a showcase fight. I think Jack Kolke is, you know, kind of slow compared to and doesn't really have the skills compared to Derevchenko. I think really this is a showcase for him to come back, get himself a nice little win. I think he'll stop him. And then just hopefully, you know, trying to rebuild his career a little bit. You know, losing to Jacobs isn't anything crazy. He's a good fighter, but, you know, he needs to get back on the path. And hopefully, you could be right. Then maybe they may do a Peter Quinlan fight later down the line.
I think so. I think they're testing the waters here. And then moving on, also on Saturday, the 13th of April, the most significant female fight in many, many years. In Atlantic. Ever. Well, yeah, a lot of people are saying ever. It could be. But it is very significant, at least in the modern age. From Atlantic City, New Jersey. So Atlantic City is getting their fights back. It's coming back. On Showtime, USA. Claressa Shields, 8-0. Faces off against Christina Hammer. The IBF, WBA, WBC, and WBO middleweight titles are on the line. This fight was supposed to be made, I think, last year. And I think Christina Hammer had to pull out because of some type of medical issue or injury.
She had an injury.
But now it's made. We're a couple days away. I'm hoping it lives up to the hype. I really am. There's a part of me that thinks it's not.
And you think Shields is going to blow her out? Or Hammer's going to blow her out?
I think Shields is going to, I think so. You know, like I like Hammer too. I like Hammer.
I didn't know. I'd seen her fights, but I didn't really know her as a person. I've been watching, you know, the Showtime. Is it behind the scenes?
All Access. They did an All Access on their fight, which is that's big. That's
huge. They did a couple. I've seen 2 so far. So I thought, you know, she came across well. Shields, I'm just not the biggest fan of her. I can't stand her mouth. She's just constantly talking. She's been going at it with Steve Kim. You know, just kind of twisting what Steve Kim said, saying he's racist, blocking him. I don't think personally that she's too good for the sport. I think that
whoa,
she's a good fighter.
She's gonna talk crap on us. So thanks a lot, Mike.
That's fine. She can. You know, Christina Hammer. I think she's good, but you know, I know a lot of people get her because you're a fighter. Why are you doing bikini shoots and stuff like that? Hey, they're paying her to do it.
Yeah, she did. She came out. She's like, yeah, if they pay you, you would do it too. That's what she said.
Claressa Shields did the ESPN one completely naked.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
So I mean,
you can't tell me they didn't pay her for that.
Exactly. And, you know, at the end of the day, there should be more. You know, I like the fact sometimes that fighters show their own personality, but at the same time, you've got to think about what you're saying. And I think some of the stuff she says, because she always plays the race card, she always plays the women's card. I'm like, be more like Katie Taylor. At the end of the day, she's a good fighter. She's a clean-cut image. I'm not saying that she has to, you know, she could be like Gervonta Davis and Broner a little bit.
Well,
but even then,
personality sells, Mike.
It does, but she just says the most ridiculous things, and after a while, it just gets annoying listening to her.
Personality sells, Mike.
I hope it's not a blowout. I hope you're wrong. I think Shields has tried to get into Hammer's head by saying all these things and, you know, being brash and, you know, trying to be so loud to intimidate her. I think it's actually worked the other way around. I think Hammer's just kind of laughing to herself. Actually, her English is quite good, and she actually says some quite witty things back to her.
I've noticed that, yeah.
I actually think they're in Shields' head more. I don't know whether the
fights. So?
Yeah, I think maybe she's trying to blow herself up, you know, where she's trying to look confident,
Maybe.
But she's not too sure, she's been on the big scene. She's been to the Olympics and stuff like that. But I don't know whether this fight's maybe a little bit too soon for her. She got dropped, was it in her last fight by Hannah Gabriels?
Yeah.
Because she was been a little bit too wild. It's hard sometimes to assess a women's fighter because there's such a huge gap in the middle. You've either got your lower end kind of journeyman fighters, journeywomen fighters, and then you've got nothing in the middle, and then you've got your Christina Hammers, your Shields, your Katie Taylors. So sometimes when you're watching them, it's kind of hard to assess, would what she did there work against Claressa Shields? So I think I'd like for Hammer to win. I think she's better for the sport. I don't like the brash image that Claressa Shields does. It just rubs me up the wrong way. I like Gervonta Davis and Broner. I like the way that they do it, but there's just something about Shields that I find it just grates on me. I hope Christina Hammer wins.
You're so affected, Mike.
I don't know. There's just something about her. It just annoys me. Why not be more like Heather Hardy? I like her. She's a good fighter. Nowhere near the same class as Claressa Shields, but you want an honest opinion? I'm giving you an honest opinion on it. I hope Christina Hammer wins.
But in turn, yeah, I know. I think the fans appreciate the honesty. But like I said, I hope they're both undefeated. Christina Hammer obviously has like triple the fights, essentially 24-0. Claressa Shields is 8-0, but Claressa Shields has the 2 gold medals in the Olympics. So she obviously has the pedigree, and she's been doing pretty well. She did get knocked down. I think, was it the last fight? Or
I think it was definitely against Hannah Gabriels. I think it was the last fight.
So I hope it's competitive. I really do. I really do. But I honestly think Shields is going to take her
early.
No, we never really see knockouts in female fights.
That's what I was going to touch on. If you said earlier, I was going to say she doesn't. For somebody who says that,
because this is the 2-minute rounds, right?
Yes, still 2-minute rounds. Hopefully, eventually,
they're not 3-minute rounds. People got to remember that.
They should be.
People got to remember that they're 2-minute rounds. So,
we're split here. Then you're going to go Shields.
I'm going to go Shields just based on talent, because I understand why you're saying the opinion that you have. I get it. But in terms of talent, I just think Shields is going to take her. I don't know if it's a stoppage. You know what? No, I think it's a decision. I think it's going to be a unanimous decision. Could be a split. You never know. They might be some rumblings behind the scenes, like, hey, let's get like a split decision. Maybe we can make a rematch. Because I mean, like,
trying to say
honestly,
fixed?
Who? I didn't say that. I'm just saying there might be some agreements behind the scenes, like, because honestly, who can they fight after this? This is the biggest fight you can make.
That's the problem in women's boxing altogether, though.
And it's hard. It's difficult because like obviously the
people have to move up multiple divisions up and down. So
right. So moving on. This week's favorite fighter in mine, yours and mine, Samuel Peter, 37-6.
Yes, that Samuel Peter. He's back. Comes back after almost 2 years of inactivity. Against Mario Heredia, 15-6-1. Peter quietly won his first comeback fight by first round KO against Gerardo Escobar, who was 2-22 with 1 KO back in February in Tijuana, Mexico, Baja California at Cheers Bar. So that was kind of under the radar. Mm-hmm. Maybe just to kind of get him back in the groove. I mean, what do you think about this? Like, Peter's obviously been in there. He was in there with Klitschko. Yeah, he's been in some big fights. I don't know whether he's just come back because obviously the heavyweight scene at the minute is doing so well. People obviously need opponents with DAZN and all that sort of stuff, the money kicking around. I'm hoping that he hasn't come back because he's broke.
Hopefully not.
He needs the money. I hope he doesn't get hurt. It's good to see him back. He's still got some name of note, and essentially, I'd like to see him in the fight. I'm not too sure. He was on the bottom of the undercard, so I don't know whether he's actually going to be on the live Showtime show. Hopefully he is. Get his name back out there.
Who knows? But he's back. Samuel Peter, back on the Showtime card on the undercard of Claressa Shields and Christina Hammer, unification middleweight female world championship fight. Also on Saturday, more boxing. DAZN's back again. They never stop. They have the foot on the gas pedal. From the Arena Monterrey, Nuevo León, Mexico. or Mexico?
I'm glad you said that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I am Hispanic. So, Jaime Munguia, 32-0, 154-pound world titleist, goes up against Dennis Hogan, 28-1-1. The Munguia's WBO World Super Welterweight titles on the line. In terms of just looking at the records, obviously it seems like it's okay because Hogan's 28-1-1. But I think, fighting in Mexico, Munguia, young guy, he has a world title. He's fought quite a bit. He's defended it quite a bit ever since he got it. Is this more of a showcase fight?
I think it is going to be a showcase fight for Munguia. It's just going to, get him out there to the Mexican fans, because his last few fights have all been over in the States.
Right.
I think, obviously down the line, they're probably going to try and do Mexico, Munguia, Canelo. So I imagine they're trying to gather some fans.
I think that's like 2-3 years down the line.
Yeah, I think it's be 2.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll probably, look after him, give him some good fights. He's fighting Dennis Hogan. I think Hogan, when I looked, is like 4 or 5 inches smaller. Munguia's already big for this weight category. So by the time I think, once he's weighed in, he's refed, got into the ring, Munguia's going to look like an absolute giant next to him.
Oh, yeah. Munguia's a big kid.
Yeah. Do you know what? One thing that I wanted to touch on is I was watching some of his training with Alcazar.
Yeah.
And
Roberto Alcazar, yeah.
Yeah, Roberto Alcazar. And De La Hoya was there.
What?
And they had him in the ring. And
he was showing him some moves.
And it was... Jaime Munguia is more of a Triple G fighter than he is of an Oscar De La Hoya fighter.
He is.
He needs better footwork, but the stuff that they were showing him, to me, was trying... It looked like they were trying to make him more of...
A boxer?
A boxer mover like Oscar De La Hoya.
Maybe.
Than somebody that's going to be more of...
So maybe he needs patience, because he does try to go knock you out.
But the thing is, though, he's always going to have that Triple G style. They need to teach him to cut off the ring as well as Triple G does.
Yeah. He'd be a monster if he can do that.
And it looked like they were trying to make him, like fancy footwork, make him more of, like jab, jab, punch, more of a De La Hoya style. And I'm thinking, dude, he's never going to be that type of fighter.
You never know. He's a young kid. He's like, 22?
Yeah, but you've always got
time. He's got time. Yeah, Munguia's got time. He's 22 years old. I mean, I get it. I get what you're saying. And it's not that I don't disagree that he doesn't have the Triple G style. Mm-hmm. But if he was like 30, 29, 31, 32, then I'd be like, okay, yeah, they shouldn't change his style if that's been working for him. But I think if he can kind of find both the balance on both sides, maybe being a boxer with the footwork and a brawler. Because, I mean, Triple G's kind of like that. He could box or he can kind of be in your face. So, I mean, I get what you're saying. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe De La Hoya shouldn't be teaching them that stuff, or they shouldn't be showing them that stuff. But who knows?
Just looked like...
You never know.
It looked like that's what they were trying to do. I don't know whether it was just, I read it wrong. They were just trying to teach him, a little bit of Oscar De La Hoya's footwork. But, me looking at someone that size, that powerful, the first thing would come to my mind would be, right, okay, I'm going to try to model him on, Triple G. The way he cuts the ring off. The way that he uses his crazy power that he has. But we'll see. We'll see later down the line. We'll see if anything's different when he faces Hogan.
So who are you picking?
Munguia, definitely. I think Munguia, he'll take him out. I think he's going to be too big, too powerful. He's going to have the reach advantage. I think he'll take him out round 4.
And I'm going by 4th round. Yeah. No, I'll go 5th. 5th round knockout. Either TKO or knockout. The immortal Dennis Hulk Hogan. So... I'm going Hulk Hogan. I'm going to go bet money on him. So if he wins, I win big. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going Munguia. But if that happens, I'm going to be pissed. I'm going to be big.
Oh, yeah, with your
I hope
Crolla and Hogan double.
I hope Dennis Hogan comes out to Real American, the song that Hulk Hogan comes out in professional wrestling.
In Mexico.
In Mexico.
he'd be dead for us to the ring.
Hey, you never know. The immortal Dennis Hulk Hogan. You never know. This is his time to shine. And then wrapping up, Diego De La Hoya returns on this card as well. The first cousin of Golden Boy CEO and chairman Oscar De La Hoya. 21-0. He comes back on this card against Enrique Bernache, 24-12. Obviously, Diego De La Hoya's had some weight issues, some trouble making weight the last couple fights. So I think this is a fight just to kind of get him back in the fold, which he's expected to win.
Yeah, it's his first fight in 10 months because of having issues making the 122-pound featherweight limit.
Is this at 122 pounds?
No, this one has moved up.
126?
He's moved up from junior featherweight to featherweight. So, yeah, he's gone from 122 to 126.
There it is.
Because he had a couple of fights cancelled due to him not being able to make weight. And, the person he's fighting is 24-12. Obviously, this is just a fight back for Diego, just to, get off the rust.
Get his confidence back.
See what he's like at the new weight category. So it should be an easy win for him, really.
So a lot of boxing this week. ESPN Plus, Fox Sports 1, Showtime, DAZN USA. They're all competing this week. But hey, several years ago, we didn't have this much boxing. So people can't be complaining about stuff or competition because this is great. It makes everybody step up their game. So I'm cool with it. But you want to throw anything in there before we wrap it up, Mike?
I just want to say, just make sure that you're not talking too much trash on fighters.
Yep.
If everybody saw is it Ak and Barak on the DAZN where they got Teofimo Lopez, did you see it?
Oh yeah, they went to go find the troll, one of the trolls. Oh, you think that was real? It looked real.
The guy looked shocked. They went into he was in like a coffee shop or something, and they just kind of read his tweet back to him, and then Teofimo Lopez walked in, and the guy's face just dropped.
That was actually kind of cool though. That was like a different take on entertainment. I thought that was kind of interesting. So. You never know.
But
we're gonna have to do that.
It might come into my work since I slagged Shields off.
Yeah, Shields is gonna come into your work. Hey, if we get hate for that, I'm gonna say it was all you. That was all you. It was all Mike. Mike from the last round. That was him. But once again, thank you for tuning in to episode 28 of TLR, The Last Round. We'll be back next week. We have tentatively. Who do we have tentatively next week as a guest?
Next week is Bomac.
So Terrence Crawford, arguably, like we talked about, Lomachenko, arguably the best pound for pound, 1 or number 2, just depending on how you have it. Best pound for pound fighter in the world. His head trainer, Bomac, is going to call into the show, talk about his fighter's fight on April 20th against Amir King Khan at Madison Square Garden on pay-per-view. So that should be interesting because Bomac never holds back.
No, he's always good when he does the commentary on TV and stuff like that. So it should be a good interview.
So I'm excited for that. That's next week on episode 29 of The Last Round. So once again, for Michael Shepard, I'm Danny Z. This is The Last Round.
Thanks for supporting and listening to the show. Follow us at The Last Round 12 on social media. Rate, review, and subscribe. This is The Last Round